Why are these rated E video game levels so scary compared to the rest of the levels in the game? Well, today we are going to find out, starting with River Twigsy Super Paper Mario. Super Paper Mario is a 2007 action role-playing game developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo for the Wii. It is the third installment in the Paper Mario series and the first Mario game on the Wii. The game follows Mario, Peach, Bowser, and Luigi as they attempt to collect pure hearts and stop Count Bleck and his minions from destroying the universe. Eventually, the player reaches Chapter 7, Level 1, the River Twigsy, in which Mario goes underwater. Eventually, when Mario goes all the way down underwater, the music shifts from normal to very distorted and the atmosphere around him starts to turn very blue. Eventually, Mario releases all the water and is let out, and the game goes back to normal. So why was this level so frightening? Well, unlike the other games, there's really only one reason, and that's because of the music. The music always adds to the terror, and this level is no different, as the music changes to a distorted tone that instantly makes the player uncomfortable. It's especially uncomfortable because the player is underwater, which makes the player feel like they could suffocate at any time, causing Mario to be alone in his final moments. Rayman 2: The Great Escape, The Tomb of the Ancients. Rayman 2: The Great Escape is a 1999 platform game developed by UB Pictures and published by Ubisoft for the Nintendo 64, Windows, Dreamcast, and PlayStation. The game centers on the titular character, Rayman, who is tasked with saving his friend Glowbox and the fantastical land of the Fairy Glade from an army of robotic pirates led by Admiral Razorbeard. In Rayman, there is a location called the Tomb of the Ancients in which Rayman tries to get a treasure chest. The overall atmosphere of the Tomb of the Ancients is very creepy. There are enemies that are ghosts, there are spiders, there are skeletons, and there are traps. And there are ponds of souls that are toxic. Not to mention that the entire location is nearly pitch black with rocks and torches everywhere. When Rayman finally reaches the exit, he has a boss fight against a Cyclops. It's easy to figure out why the level Tomb of the Ancients is so creepy. For one, the location is a tomb, definition being a large vault, typically an underground one. Then there's the addition of traps, such as electricity fences and soul ponds, making the player cautious at every turn. And finally, there's the scariest reason, the music. The music significantly adds to the terror and caution. It starts off slow, with loud noises in the background, until it goes back to pace. When you pair this with the atmosphere, it makes the player feel like at any turn they could die. Thus, the horror of the level, the Tomb of the Ancients in Rayman 2. Bottom of the Well, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is a 1998 action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. It was released in Japan and North America in November of 1998. The player controls Link in the realm of Hyrule on a quest to stop the evil king Ganondorf by traveling through time and navigating dungeons in an overworld. Eventually, Link will reach the bottom of the well, where he's immediately attacked by a Squatula, which is a spider-like creature with a skull-like belly. So that should immediately tell you what the level is going to be like. Anyways, the look at the well is like a dungeon, in which there's skeletons and walls that can be walked through. There's also toxic pools and traps that can hurt Link. And there's enemies like piranha plants, and some newer enemies like Dead Hand, which is a zombie-like ghoul, Green Bubble, which is a skeleton head in bright green flames, Red Dead, which is our zombie-like undead beings, and some more enemies like Gibdos, which are undead mummified corpses. Overall though, the well is scary, but there's really only one more thing that adds to the terror, and that's the music, the bottom of the well. It starts off slow and adds loud distorted sounds that eventually take over the entire song, making it chilling and very scary to the player. Eventually though, the player ends up winning and gets out of the well. Both of the scenarios add to make the level bottom of the well terrifying, unlike the other levels in Legend of Zelda. Donkey Kong Country Misty Menace. Donkey Kong Country is a 1994 platform game developed by Rare and published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System (SNES). It is a reboot of Nintendo's Donkey Kong franchise and follows the gorilla Donkey Kong and his nephew Diddy Kong as they set out to recover their stolen banana horde from the crocodile King K. Rool and his army, the Kremlins. Misty Mine is the 31st level in Donkey Kong Country and the 3rd level of Chimp Caverners. Misty Mine takes place in a mine with light fog. Overall, the atmosphere is very claustrophobic since the player is in a mine fighting animals such as crocodiles, armadillos, and a few others. Not to mention, there's barrels of explosions, ropes, and other obstacles that DK must climb and avoid. So why is this level so noticeably different than the rest? Well, I could think of a few reasons. For one, the location is in a mine, thus making it very tight and small with barely any light. Then there's the animals that serve as enemies. Not to mention all the obstacles that DK must avoid, such as the barrels and ropes. But the real reason this level is so different and so scary is once again because of the music. For some reason, the music is quite distorted. Not to mention, it doesn't sound like anything else in the game, thus giving it that much of a terror factor. And when you combine it with the atmosphere of the mine, it simply doesn't feel so friendly anymore. Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue Lavender Town. Pokemon Red version and Pokemon Blue version are 1996 role-playing video games developed by Game Freak and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy. They were first released in Japan in 1996 as Pocket Monster Red A and Pocket Monster Green B, with the special edition being Pocket Monster Blue C, later released in Japan that year. The player controls the protagonist Red from an overhead perspective and navigates the fictional region of Kanto in a quest to master Pokemon battling. The goal is to become the champion of the Indigo League by defeating the 8 gym leaders and the top Pokemon trainers in the land, the Elite Four. While on his journey, Red encounters a town called Lavender Town. Lavender Town is a fictional village in the 1996 video games Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, stylized as a haunted location. Lavender Town is home to Pokemon Tower, a burial ground for deceased Pokemon, and a location to find ghost-type Pokemon. So why is Lavender Town considered creepy compared to the good vibes of Pokemon? Well, there's a few reasons. For one, the background music of Lavender Town is very slow and 8-bit, making the atmosphere that much creepier. And paired with the knowledge of Lavender Town being a burial site for dead Pokemon, it combines to make the level really chilling. Also, in the 2010s, there was a creepypasta called Lavender Town Syndrome, a fictional story about hundreds of Japanese children dying by their own hands, after listening to the track's high-pitched tones that only they could hear. Now, obviously, this is definitely a false story, but it does add to the already alarming terror of the Lavender Town. So, yeah, Lavender Town is pretty creepy. Earthbound / Mother 2 Final Battle. Earthbound is a role-playing video game developed by Ape Inc. and HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System (SNES). It's the second entry in the Mother series. It was first released in Japan in August of 1994 and later in North America in June 1995. The game focuses on main player Ness and his party of Paula, Jeff, and Pooh as they travel the world to collect melodies from 8 sanctuaries in order to defeat the Universal Cosmic Destroyer, who is the main antagonist and final boss of Earthbound. In the final battle, the player is treated to a very disturbing change in atmosphere and music as the gang faces Porky. While fighting Porky, the tone changes 3 different times, with each tone shift being more disturbing than the last. Finally, after Porky is defeated, he summons Gigas, whose infinite power is turning him into an incomprehensible embodiment of evil and insanity. The player is then shown what looks to be a red skeleton, with it being completely black in the background. After continuous fighting, the atmosphere becomes distorted as Gigas, who is at this point mentally gone and is described by Porky as an almighty idiot, is finally defeated by the game. The story then concludes with our heroes returning safely to Earth. So what exactly made this level so scary? Well, for one, the song changes from happy, upbeat to ridiculously scary as you encounter the bosses. Throughout the battle, there are 4 songs. While fighting the bosses, the songs begin to switch with each switch being scarier than the last, until we're left with the final song, Final Battle, which starts out distorted and later changes to chimes. This alone is scary, but when added with the change in atmosphere and the idea that all hope was lost, since the only way Ness and his crew were able to win is because the people from Earth prayed they would not die, and the fact that Gigas is infinite in power and is mentally gone, the level quickly becomes terrifying since there is no hope left that Ness and his gang can win. So how was the video? Was it good? Was it bad? If it was bad, then might be. I can't promise that my first few videos will be amazing quality, but I can promise that my videos will progressively get better. So if you like documentary type videos that aren't just about dark topics, then you should maybe consider subscribing. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll also make a gaming channel. Either way, thank you for even just watching 1 minute of this video, and have a good day.